Nice to you too.
My soul, my money, but don't leave me drowning.
Drop flowers today as a symbolic gesture for the loss of life. What should have been a joyful vacation turned into an unimaginable tragedy. We mourn the loss of Augustine, Mercedes, and their three beautiful children, Victor, Mercedes, and Augustine. Our hearts are broken.
This is a really difficult situation, but we are overwhelmed of the massive condolence we received, and this is probably because the Escobar Camprubí family was a really loved family. So thank you for that to all of you. We want to move the bodies as soon as possible back home with all the family to rest in peace together in our place. But also we want to thank all the institutional support that we received, starting from Spain, from also Catalonia, from US, New York, New Jersey. Everybody has been supporting us, and especially also Siemens as company where Merce and Agustin were working has supported also a lot during this process.
The Gordon B. Garrett Funeral Home has been serving the needs of Titusville and surrounding communities since 1965. Mr. Garrett believed in tradition and commitment to excellence, standards that have been passed down from one generation to now a new generation, who will work to provide you with a beautiful, lasting tribute to your loved one. When you need them, they will be there for you. This has been their foundation for almost 60 years. The Gordon B. Garrett Funeral Home, 303 North Washington Street in Titusville.
Anyone with a kind and generous heart and a little money can be a philanthropist. You too can be a force for good in our community, and the Crawford Heritage Community Foundation is here to help you make the most of your charitable giving. We've partnered with hundreds of people like you to make our world and our community a better place. You can give through us to support scholarships or any charitable organization or purpose. Whether you're interested in establishing a permanent endowment or adding to an existing fund, we want to be a part of your plan. Contact us when you're ready to make your mark. Together, we can make your contribution go further.
If you're looking for a professional massage therapist, Tranquil Moments Massage in Titusville is here for you. Ray and Rauch graduated from Slippery Rock University with a bachelor's degree in exercise and rehabilitative sciences with an emphasis in athletic training. Tranquil Moments offers a wide range of services, from Swedish massage to deep tissue, sugar scrubs to hot towel inclusion therapy. Like them on Facebook and visit their website to learn more about all the services they offer. Tranquil Moments Massage in Titusville.
Thinking about switching to 5G home internet? Think again. Unlike Zoom from Armstrong, 5G home internet is delivered by a cell tower. The further away you are, or the more devices connected to that tower, the slower your internet is. Cell phone providers also play favorites. When their network gets busy, cell phones win, and your home internet pays the price. Stick with Armstrong to get more data, more speed, and internet whenever you need it, not whenever they want. Armstrong, keeping you connected.
J. Gill Plumbing and Heating takes pride in being the premier heating and air conditioning service provider in the area. With over 30 years of experience, our highly skilled and certified technicians will work closely with you to address your heating and air conditioning repair, installation, or maintenance needs. Our team is dedicated to making your home the ultimate place of comfort. Call today to get a free estimate. We also offer financing options and membership opportunities that provide peace of mind and cost savings. Call J. Gill Plumbing and Heating today or visit them online 24/7 at jgillplumbingheating.com.
Sheer Design is Titusville's exclusive Paul Mitchell-focused salon. This full-service salon specializes in coloring, cuts, nails, and tanning. Owner Angela Saxon has over 20 years' experience as a Paul Mitchell professional. She and her licensed staff offer all cuts and styles for men and women of all ages. Call 814-827-0010 or stop in at 116 South Kerr Street in Titusville.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Levin, and I proudly own and operate Puppy Levin. Puppy Levin is a pet care salon dedicated to caring for your furry companions. We provide certified dog grooming services along with boarding and doggy daycare. Our facility is family-owned and operated and promise personalized care for every pet that comes through our doors. If you're worried about your furry friend being lonely when you're gone, we also have on-site personnel 24/7 just for their comfort. Follow us on Facebook and call or text us at 814-758-9259 to make an appointment today.
Share the fun of train travel and relive our country's oil history as you ride the OC&T through the valley that changed the world. Learn about the past while traveling on vintage cars. See a variety of wildlife with stops at Drakewell Park, Petroleum Center, and Oil Creek State Park. Arrive early and see the vast collection of train and railroad memorabilia at Perry Street Station. After the ride, enjoy a night's stay at the Caboose Motel. For seasonal specials or for more information, visit octrr.org or call 814-676-1733.
Wall Street ended a turbulent week with solid gains on Friday, with the Dow adding more than 1.5%, the S&P 500 rising 1.8%, and the Nasdaq climbing 2%. Stocks were whipsawed throughout the week by the chaos of President Donald Trump's multi-front trade war, which included a reprieve for duties on European goods and a tit-for-tat tariff escalation with China. Chris Constantinos is chief investment strategist at Riverfront Investment Group.
At the end of the day, the uncertainty that this sows, not just for consumers, but also for businesses trying to make decisions in real time about hiring and CapEx and investing in high RRR potential projects, but which take capital up front. All of these types of decisions are having to be put on hold because of this low visibility environment. So we need to understand that as it stands right now, we think the economy is in relatively decent shape. We think inflation's in relatively decent shape. We think employment's in relatively decent shape, but that could all change fairly quickly if we don't start getting some resolutions.
Economic data on Friday offered further evidence that inflation continues to cool, with the Labor Department's Producer Prices Index unexpectedly falling last month. A separate report, however, showed consumer sentiment deteriorated sharply in April, with inflation expectations at their highest level since 1981. But two Federal Reserve policymakers managed to soothe investors' nerves. Boston Fed President Susan Collins said the central bank is prepared to keep financial markets functioning, while New York Fed President John Williams said the economy is not entering a period of stagflation. Meanwhile, first quarter earnings got off to a solid start, with major U.S. banks reporting better than expected profits. Shares of J.P. Morgan Chase gained 4%. Morgan Stanley also closed higher, while shares of Wells Fargo, which forecast lower net interest income, ended lower. All three lenders, however, warned of inflationary risks and a potential economic slowdown due to Trump's tariffs.
All right, let's take a look at the weather forecast for Northwest Pennsylvania as we begin a brand new week. Cloudy skies this morning, followed by scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. It's going to be warm today, upper 60s for a high. Enjoy it as much as you can. It's going to change for the next couple days. Scattered thunderstorms early on tonight, then partly cloudy after midnight with lows in the mid-40s. Tuesday, rain showers, mid-40s. Wednesday morning, snow showers. I think I just saw somebody post a map. We might get some accumulation overnight Tuesday into Wednesday morning. But anyways, morning snow showers Wednesday. Temperatures in the low 40s. Thursday, mostly sunny.
Highs in the upper 50s. Friday, rain showers, upper 60s. So we do start to warm back up. Next week's going to be a whole lot better. So we're getting there, folks. We are getting there. I know I've been saying that. Meadville this morning at 47 degrees. Cambridge Springs, Edinburgh at 46. Titusville 44. Franklin 45. Oil City 44 degrees here at 7-Eleven. Well, the Masters wrapped up yesterday after a playoff hole. What a great weekend of golf. One of the best golf matches I've ever watched. Although Rory McIlroy, who finally got his green jacket, had a great third round on Saturday and just about blew it a couple times yesterday. Could you imagine the pressure? He's been wanting this thing ever since he was a little kid. He's been trying to get this thing for 14 years to complete the career Grand Slam of winning all the majors. All that weight, all that pressure. You had Bryson DeChambeau paired up with him in that final round, and he was putting on the pressure. Rory blows the first two holes. Bryson right back in it. Then, like the third hole, Rory comes back. Bryson starts to get into his own head, and several opportunities for Rory McIlroy to just win this thing. He said during, I think afterwards, or maybe he didn't, but others were saying, could you imagine that kind of pressure? Like, this is all you need to complete that career Grand Slam, and oh man, it was awesome to watch. And then the playoff hole with Justin Rose, just I've had that same pressure on my shoulders.
Really?
I have. Now the only difference is I need to, win one, and then I can build from there.
Then you can actually feel the pressure.
But the pressure's there to win and complete my career Grand Slam. But it's going to be challenging. But I know I have your support. You're there with me.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Sure.
Congratulations. Finally, Rory got his green jacket. Here's the ceremony that took place afterwards.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the 2025 Masters champion, Rory McIlroy. And Scotty, I would be grateful if you would please do the honor of placing the green jacket on Rory. Rory, you already wear the green jacket very well. We'd appreciate you making a few comments, if you would.
Thank you, Fred. Oh, my goodness. First of all, I want to thank Chairman Fred Ridley and all the members at Augusta National. This is by far the greatest golf tournament in the world. I'm from a place I'm from a place that I might get criticized for saying that, but I go back to watching this tournament on the weekend with my father when I was 7 and 8 years old, watching Tiger Woods do what he did in 1997. That was my inspiration to try to become what I am today, and to think that I'm up here wearing one of those green jackets is, honestly, it's a dream come true. Like, my dreams have been made today. I'd also like to thank all the volunteers and the staff this week. The running of this golf tournament is not a small task, and everyone puts their heart and soul into this for 1 week a year. So I just want to say to everyone, thank you so much. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here as a player, and obviously I can't wait to come back for many years to come now. The patrons, again, it's such a unique event. The no phone policy just makes everyone so present and so into what we're doing out there on the golf course, and it's just an absolute pleasure to play in an atmosphere like the one we played in today. So to everyone that stuck around, thank you so much. Love you too. And last but certainly not least, over to my left, my family, my team. They've been on this journey with me the whole way through. They know the burden that I've carried to, come here every year and try again. And the one thing I would say to my daughter Poppy that's sitting over there, never give up on your dreams. Never ever give up on your dreams. Keep coming back, keep working hard, and if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. I love you. I don't know what else to say. This is just, it's an honor of a lifetime to be standing here. I've dreamt about this moment for so long, and I can't wait to be here again next year in Scotty's position, hopefully putting the green jacket back on myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roy. We are extremely proud to have you as our 2025 Masters champion. I would again like to thank everyone for their tireless efforts and support, and thanks to all of you, our patrons, the best in the world. I look forward to seeing all of you next April. Have a good evening.
Well, again, congratulations, Rory McIlroy winning in a playoff with Justin Rose. Incredible. Two of my favorite, well, it's funny because, of course, I like Scotty Scheffler, but it was just funny to watch. Scheffler didn't have he did okay yesterday, but as the top started to falter, Scheffler's name kept kind of rising to the top. And I'm like, this could be interesting. And Oberg was doing well, and there was, I'll tell you, Justin Rose was just hanging in there. Patrick Reed threatening as well. It was a great round. Very exciting. You watch and you just go, all right, ready to head out. Want to get out there and golf. Time to get out there and have some fun. And then the threat of snow tomorrow. Or Wednesday morning. We'll get into that in a minute. Amy's got birthdays and what we're celebrating here in just a second. Real quick, other headlines. Major League Baseball Giants beat the Yankees 5-4. Blue Jays over the Orioles 7-6 in 10 innings. Rays over the Braves 8-3. Marlins beat the Nationals 11-4. Pirates fell to the Reds 4-0. Royals beat the Guardians 4-2. Astros with the win over the Angels 7-3. Twins batting their way past the Tigers 5-1. Red Sox over the White Sox 3-1. Cardinals over the Phillies 7-0. Mets beat the A's 8-0. Milwaukee fell to the Diamondbacks 5-2. Padres with the win over the Rockies 6-0. Mariners over the Rangers 3-1. Cubs beat the Dodgers 4-2. The final there. Monday, today you got the Pirates hosting the Nationals at 6:40. Phillies and the Giants at 6:45. At 7:05, the Rays and the Red Sox will get things underway. Yankees to host the Royals. Blue Jays and Braves tonight. Twins taking on the Mets. Brewers hosting the Tigers. Cardinals hosting the Astros. Padres and the Cubs at 9:40. And at 10:10, the Dodgers host the Rockies. All right. Good way to start the other than the Pirates lost yesterday. But they're home with the Nationals, so we'll see if they can get things back in the winning column. Senators skating past the Flyers to win in overtime yesterday, 4-3. Islanders over the Devils 1-0. Bruins beat the Penguins 4-1. Maple Leafs over the Hurricanes 4-1. It was a 4-1 win for the Blue Jackets over the Capitals. Lightning beat the Sabres 7-4. Oilers over the Jets 4-1. Flames with the win over the Sharks 5-2. Avalanche caving in on the Anaheim Ducks 4-2. The final there. And you got the Panthers and the Rangers tonight. Canadians taking on the Blackhawks. Red Wings and Stars. Predators and the Hockey Club. Canucks taking on the Sharks. And the Oilers hosting the Kings at 10 o'clock here tonight. All right. It is the 14th day of April. Can you believe we're about halfway through the month already? That's crazy. We're going to get to birthdays and what we're celebrating here this morning. Let's start with birthdays and who's celebrating. Oh, and then we also have a special good morning. We need to say good morning to someone.
We do have a special good morning this morning. So we were, how do you say it nicely? We were out and about in Meadville on Saturday. I can't even remember what day we were there. But we saw a longtime friend, and we'd like to say good morning to Wilma.
Morning, Wilma. How are you? Yes. She had a big smile on her face when we saw her.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and it was great to see you, Wilma. So we miss you, and I hope to see you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Who's celebrating a birthday today?
We have actor Peter Capaldi is 67 today. Actor Anthony Michael Hall is 57. Actor Adrian Brody is 52. Actress Sarah Michelle Gellar is 48. And actress Abigail Breslin is 29 today.
Well, happy birthday to them, and happy birthday to you if today happens to be your birthday from all of us here this morning. Now, we're going to switch up our birthday list to what we're celebrating here today. What are we celebrating?
It is Air Force Reserve Birthday, America's Day, Children with I'm going to say it wrong, Alopecia Day, Dreams of Reason Feast Day, Holy Monday, International Moment of Laughter Day, National Dolphins Day, National Donate a Book Day, National Ex-Spouse Day, National Gardening Day, Look Up at the Sky Day, National Pecan Day, Pan America Day, Pathologist Assistance Day, Perfume Day, Reach as High as You Can Day. That's it.
Okay.
Sorry. And well, like they throw in
other stuff
that really isn't, you know.
You recently read a book, so why don't you explain that? Because you said today's Read a Book Day.
Oh, like Amy knows how to read.
No,
Yay.
Well, no.
Yeah. No, I like it's. I don't even know. If you look on social media, sometimes they put movie clips up, and I saw a movie clip that popped up. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I read a little, like it was 10 seconds, and I read a little bit of based off the book. The Secret Life of Bees. So that was the book that I read. And I'm like, oh. So if I'm like, oh, I want to watch this movie, and I know there's a book attached, I typically will read the book first.
And then watch the movie?
And then watch the movie, which
yeah, see, I'm the total opposite. I watch the movie and then forget about reading the book.
Well, you know.
But
and
anyways.
then you're like, that doesn't make sense. But if you would have read the book, it would have made sense.
I don't say that. You're the one that says to me, well, that doesn't make sense. In the book, they do this. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Yeah, I don't know because I didn't read the book.
Okay.
So anyways, you got this book.
I bought the book. I read the book in 2 days? Like, I don't know. I have to read. I'm consumed when I get a book.
Yeah, but you were very, because you haven't read a book in a little while.
No. I haven't found, I don't know. I just have to, I don't know. If you can make suggestions, I am not a romance love story person. Lord help me, please don't suggest those books. So, I mean, I'm kind of like a roller coaster of other things. But, yeah, those are not I don't want to read those.
Yeah, as we're having this conversation, it did dawn on me. On vacation, I bought a book.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Have I read it?
Mm-mm.
No.
Do you want me to read it for you? I'll tell you what happens.
Well, I'm going to look at the pictures first, and then we'll see. I want to. I look at it almost every day on my desk, thinking I really should take that home and read it. But
you don't.
I haven't made it that far. Believe me, I really am excited to read this book. Maybe I should have you read it to me. Just.
I have to call you out on something. It's when we go to bed at night, and we're the weird couple that goes at the same time. But when we go to bed at night, you keep
that's not weird, is it?
Sometimes. So you keep the light on, and you scroll through your phone, usually just reading stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it drives me nuts, that the light is on, because I can't. So, I got a little mask, so I stop whining and complaining to you because it's not working, right? So the other night, I'm so happy and content. I lay down, I'm so exhausted, put my little mask on, you're sitting there reading, and then boom, 10 seconds later, there's audio to whatever you're reading. Now, usually you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, let me, turn that off. No, you listened to the entire thing. And I'm like, really? You kidding me? Sorry, I'm calling you out.
I was trying to, was this a couple nights ago? I was trying to think
Saturday
what it was.
Night. It was Saturday night. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Usually, I'll turn the volume way, 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 way down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my bad. I just, I really wanted to hear whatever I was watching, whoever was speaking was saying.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I know you shouldn't look at screens before going to bed.
You shouldn't, but you do, and then you complain that you can't sleep.
I know, and what happens is I think I'm trying to unwind. I'm trying to get some information for topics, just seeing what's going on, and I don't know. Ends up getting my mind going even more, I think, and then, oh well. All right, we're coming up on 7:30 here this morning. We'll bring you the latest headlines, let you know what's going on in the world. We also will let you know what's going on Wall Street as well. In the 8 o'clock hour, Mr. Neil Fratus, City Manager for the City of Titusville, will be joining us. Former educator, teacher of finance, Gary Glunt will be with us as well. That's all coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. 7:30, your headlines are coming up next. Warm day today, but we're going to drop in temperatures on Tuesday and Wednesday before warming back up the end of the week and heading into Easter weekend.
just drop flowers today as a symbolic gesture for the loss of life. What should have been a joyful vacation turned into an unimaginable tragedy. We mourn the loss of Augustine, Mercedes, and their three beautiful children, Victor, Mercedes, and Augustine. Our hearts are broken.
This is a really difficult situation, but we are overwhelmed of the massive condolence we received, and this is probably because the Escobar Camprubí family was a really loved family. So thank you for that to all of you. We want to move the bodies as soon as possible back home with all the family to rest in peace together in our place. But also we want to thank all the institutional support that we received, starting from Spain, from also Catalonia, from US, New York, New Jersey. Everybody has been supporting us, and especially also Siemens as company where Merce and Agustin were working has supported also a lot during this process.
Vehicle shopping? Make sure you check out Titusville Ford first. Shop our amazing selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in stock. Visit us on Route 8 in Titusville and see why our customer service is a cut above the rest. Titusville Ford, your hometown dealer.
Winter rages on in northwest Pennsylvania, and luckily Vanderhoof Heating and Air Conditioning is only a phone call away when your heating emergency strikes. Whether it's residential or light commercial, new construction, repair, or replacement, Vanderhoof has the experience to get the job done right. Call today to set up an appointment or visit the Vanderhoof website to learn more. At Vanderhoof Heating and Air Conditioning, we look forward to fulfilling all of your HVAC needs and projects now and into the future. Vanderhoof Heating and Air Conditioning in Titusville.
Marsh Home Center Furniture, Appliances, and Bedding is located at 305 East Spring Street in Titusville. Marsh Home Center welcomes you in to explore their growing inventory of name brand furniture, appliances, and bedding. Need something not currently in stock? No problem. Order from Marsh's online catalog and have it delivered right to your door. Visit Marsh's to see their entire showroom. Ask questions, see what items are on sale, or just stop in and say hi. Marsh Home Center Furniture, Appliances, and Bedding, behind Giant Eagle in Titusville.
Looking for expert orthopedic care? Dr. Charlie Gates, a trusted name at Titusville Area Hospital, can help you regain mobility and a better quality of life. With years of experience and a passion for personalized care, Dr. Gates specializes in treating a wide range of orthopedic conditions. Whether it's joint pain, sports injuries, or orthopedic surgery, trust Dr. Charlie Gates at Titusville Area Hospital for your orthopedic care. Call 814-827-9770 today to schedule your appointment.
Welcome to Inspire Med Spa, the place you know and love for massages, Botox, laser resurfacing, and semi-permanent makeup. Now we're offering even more, including laser hair removal, tattoo removal, and hair rejuvenation. Our team is here to provide expert care in a peaceful, luxurious environment designed with your relaxation in mind. And with our newly added services, now you can get all your beauty services in one place. Visit Inspire Med Spa today, because you deserve to look and feel your best.
Interstate Pipe and Supply takes pride in providing superior customer service. That's why our dedicated employees are well trained and have the experience to offer friendly, quick, and reliable service and support. Need materials delivered to your job site? No problem. Interstate offers fast delivery from our 4 locations in Western Pennsylvania. We also serve Eastern Ohio, Northern Western Virginia, and Western New York. Service means business at Western Pennsylvania's premier pipe and supply company, Interstate Pipe and Supply.
Whether you want to go and lead in your craft in the trades, whether you want to go and be that nurse or medical worker and have a real impact on lives, or whether you want to go and help that business improve its bottom line, this is the place. And now is your time to go with confidence, to go with skill, to go succeed. The Education and Training Center at Pitt Titusville.
I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us, but try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same. But you have excuses because you're old. So it's okay.
Listening is a form of love. Find ways to support your kids at sounditouttogether.org.
It's Chevy Truck Month at Community Chevrolet, your Silverado headquarters. So we're getting out the Price Slicer.
Please handle with caution.
This truck month, save more than $9,000 off the new Chevy Silverado 1500 Custom Crew, more than $4,000 off the Silverado 1500 Crew Cab Custom, and more than $2,500 off the 2500.
With 3.9% financing for 5 human years.
The Price Slicer's out all truck month, only at Community Chevrolet.
Wall Street ended a turbulent week with solid gains on Friday, with the Dow adding more than 1.5%, the S&P 500 rising 1.8%, and the Nasdaq climbing 2%. Stocks were whipsawed throughout the week by the chaos of President Donald Trump's multi-front trade war, which included a reprieve for duties on European goods and a tit-for-tat tariff escalation with China. Chris Constantinos is chief investment strategist at Riverfront Investment Group.
At the end of the day, the uncertainty that this sows, not just for consumers, but also for businesses trying to make decisions in real time about hiring and CapEx and investing in high RRR potential projects, but which take capital up front. All of these types of decisions are having to be put on hold because of this low visibility environment. So we need to understand that as it stands right now, we think the economy is in relatively decent shape. We think inflation's in relatively decent shape. We think employment's in relatively decent shape, but that could all change fairly quickly if we don't start getting some resolutions.
Economic data on Friday offered further evidence that inflation continues to cool, with the Labor Department's Producer Prices Index unexpectedly falling last month. A separate report, however, showed consumer sentiment deteriorated sharply in April, with inflation expectations at their highest level since 1981. but two Federal Reserve policymakers managed to soothe investors' nerves. Boston Fed President Susan Collins said the central bank is prepared to keep financial markets functioning, while New York Fed President John Williams said the economy is not entering a period of stagflation. Meanwhile, first quarter earnings got off to a solid start, with major U.S. banks reporting better than expected profits. Shares of J.P. Morgan Chase gained 4%. Morgan Stanley also closed higher, while shares of Wells Fargo, which forecast lower net interest income, ended lower. All three lenders, however, warned of inflationary risks and a potential economic slowdown due to Trump's tariffs.
A lot of folks are keying in on the University of Michigan surveys for a number of reasons. They go back really far in time. We have a lot of data on them, and they do give, I think, a pretty interesting and informative view into the consumer mindset. When you see that, inflation expectations from the UMich survey are the highest they've been since like the early 1980s, that's very alarming. But keep in mind that consumers generally aren't great forward predictors of inflation. And honestly, the reading being as high as it was in the early 80s, the early 80s is right about when this long-term stagflationary period of painful inflation with low growth in America actually ended. Regardless of what ends up happening, if consumers believe that inflation is going higher, it definitely does impact the decisions that they're making in real time. So it is data that we take really seriously. We like to parse it in a number of different ways. Like, for instance, even though we've seen drops in consumer sentiment in these surveys pretty dramatically across the board, it is interesting that political affiliation does matter to the level, meaning that folks who identify as Democrat or independent, the absolute level of consumer confidence in the survey is much lower than folks who identify as Republican. Also, you tend to have different levels, different magnitudes, depending on what income tercile you're in. So the top third of earners tend to be more optimistic right now, and the bottom third tends to be the least optimistic, which makes sense given the backdrop. I can tell you that we have downshifted in risk in our portfolios, and we're doing that because at the end of the day, it has been a very, very difficult policy backdrop to try to forecast. So, for instance, in our shorter horizon, more risk-averse portfolios, we have taken down the overall level of equities. And we're not keeping that in cash, but rather what we've done is we've chose to allocate some of that to lower risk parts of the fixed income market. So short duration, very short term, government and corporate credit. Now, in the long term, we've also reduced our equity weightings meaningfully, but we went from a overweight position to more of like a neutral position. And instead of reinvesting a lot of that back into fixed income, we're actually keeping that in cash right now, because to the extent that these markets get worse, we do have a buy list of equity and equity related securities that we're interested in potentially acquiring it at bargain prices. And we wanted to maintain the flexibility there, because with a higher risk tolerance and a longer time horizon, that gives us a little additional flexibility to be contrarian and buy some things when others are selling.
Donald Trump said Sunday he doesn't think a foreign company should control U.S. steel. The U.S. president repeated comments made last week that lowered hopes for the $15 billion takeover bid by Japan's Nippon Steel.
I think that the United States Steel, one of the great companies of the world, U.S. Steel, should remain in our country.
He further said last Wednesday he didn't want to see U.S. Steel go to Japan, sending its shares down 7%. The two companies later said they were working closely with the Trump administration to secure a significant investment. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba said Monday he discussed the deal during a meeting with Trump in February. The original move for Nippon to buy US Steel was announced in December 2023, but it has faced headwinds from the start. Both former President Joe Biden and Trump last year argued US Steel should remain American-owned. Biden blocked the transaction on national security grounds in January, but the parties quickly sued and alleged they were denied a fair national security review.
Major U.S. banks reported strong first-quarter profits on Friday, but executives warned that President Trump's sweeping tariffs could fuel risks and weigh on economic growth. An early-year stock market boom brought in record trading revenue at J.P. Morgan Chase and Morgan Stanley, while Wells Fargo earned more client fees. J.P. Morgan shares rose, while Morgan Stanley's moved lower. Shares of Wells Fargo dropped as much as 5.5% after the CFO said net interest income, the difference between what the bank earns on loans and pays on deposits, would be in the low end of its guidance this year as markets become more volatile. Executives throughout the industry warned that consumers and corporations were becoming more cautious about Trump's tariffs, which have roiled markets and could spur inflation and tip the economy into recession. J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon said the economy is facing, quote, considerable turbulence, with his bank forecasting a 50% chance of a U.S. and global recession. Morgan Stanley CEO Ted Pick expressed more optimism, but acknowledged the risks posed by inflation and Trump's tariff policies, and said uncertainty had prompted some clients to delay transactions. And BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, despite his firm's strong first-quarter performance, said anxiety about the markets and economy was dominating every client conversation. One portfolio manager, summarizing the current sentiment, told Reuters, quote, "The emperor has no clothes right now. It's obvious that nobody knows what's coming."
President Xi Jinping on Friday urged the EU to join China in defending globalization and opposing unilateral acts of bullying. That was a clear swipe at renewed US tariffs under President Donald Trump. The comments, Xi's first publicly since Trump's tariff move, are also a sign of how Beijing is looking to mend a straining relationship with the EU to weather the trade war with the US. But diplomats and analysts say ending a prolonged stalemate between the world's second and third largest economies won't be easy. During his visit to Beijing on Friday, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez said there were opportunities for China and the EU to deepen their ties.
Profundizar esa relación bilateral entre España y China y entre China y la Unión Europea.
But he said it would be important for China to be sensitive to European demands for a more balanced relationship. The EU and other major trading partners argue that Chinese overinvestment in manufacturing is flooding the world with goods. Beijing accuses the EU of being protectionist. European diplomats, having seen years of discussions that resulted in no progress, are not holding high hopes for a reset. One, speaking anonymously, said China needs to show that they're serious, while another said China sees an opportunity for concessions but isn't really interested in improving ties. Spanish officials have rejected US warnings that a pivot to China would be, quote, cutting their own throat. Instead, Sánchez appears to be seeking to position Spain as an interlocutor between China and the EU. Recent developments show both sides are stepping up coordination. The EU and China have revived minimum pricing negotiations on Chinese-made electric vehicles, a solution to the bloc's tariffs imposed last year that Beijing has long advocated. All this comes as Trump backtracked on Wednesday on the hefty duties he had just imposed on dozens of countries, while immediately hiking tariffs on China to 145% from 104%. Analysts believe China views Europe as politically divided and weak after Trump's re-election, and hopes that tariff pressure from Washington will make EU member states more open to deepening investment ties with Beijing.
From Trump's tariff moves whipping up volatility to how economic uncertainty is weighing on U.S. consumers. These are the stories to watch in business and finance in the coming week. U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs and subsequent reversal have whipped up volatility across markets. While there have been bigger absolute moves in stocks, bonds, and currencies in past crises, very few have been this fast. U.S. assets are the focus of the selling at the moment, with treasuries, stocks, and the dollar shooting higher, only to drop just as fast. Donald Trump's campaign of global tariffs now seems very much a trade war with China. Not only was China omitted from Trump's 90-day tariff reprieve, the U.S. president ramped them up. Beijing then upped its own levies on U.S. shipments to 125%, but says it won't go further. A China data dump, including trade, factory production, and retail sales figures, is due over the next week. How tariff chaos may impact policymakers' thinking on rate cuts will be the focus when the European Central Bank meets on Thursday. Traders now fully price in another 25 basis point cut, and they predict 2 more moves after that, a sharp increase from March. That speaks to the threat facing the European economy, which is still hit by a broad 10% tariff, not to mention higher duties on steel, aluminum, and cars. The latest test of whether economic and tariff uncertainty is weighing on U.S. consumer behavior comes on Wednesday, with the release of the monthly U.S. retail sales data. Corporate earnings reports also pick up steam in the coming week, with markets expecting profit warnings ahead. Streaming giant Netflix is among the companies set to report, with its results due on Thursday.
Chinese trade felt the effects of Donald Trump's tariffs even before the levies kicked in. Figures out Monday showed exports surged over 12% on the year in March. That was around 3 times the increase forecast by analysts. The numbers suggest factories were rushing out shipments before the tariffs took effect. However, the figures could now plunge, with China facing levies of up to 145% on most shipments to the US. One economist told Reuters it could be years before the export numbers return to the level seen in March. Monday's figures also pointed to weak domestic demand in China, with imports falling 4.3%, or more than double the decline that was forecast. That means policymakers could struggle to make up for any downturn sparked by a drop in exports. Economists at Goldman Sachs and Citi have already cut their growth forecasts for China as a result of the trade turmoil. One market expert said a plunge in soybean imports, much of which come from the US, suggested state firms in China were already shunning American produce. Overall, Beijing's trade surplus with the US rose to almost $77 billion during the first quarter. That's likely to keep the country in Trump's sights, given that closing the gap is at the top of his agenda. With China vowing to fight US tariffs to the end, Monday's figures don't bode well for any easing in tensions.
Saying they're exempt from the reciprocal tariffs, but they're included in the semiconductor tariffs, which are coming in probably a month or 2.
U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said on Sunday that smartphones, computers, semiconductors, and some other electronics would face a new set of separate duties. This comes after the Trump administration granted exclusions from the steep reciprocal tariffs on a set of electronic products late on Friday. A move seen as a big break for technology firms such as Apple and Dell that rely on imports from China. In his interview on ABC's This Week, Lutnick called the upcoming levies a special focus type of tariff, separate from the reciprocal tariffs that have now hit 125%. He framed the move as a national security push to bring production back to the U.S.
Well, remember, those products are going to be part of the semiconductor sectoral tariffs, which are coming. The president's going to do it for pharmaceuticals, and he's going to do it for semiconductors. So all those products are going to come under semiconductors, and they're going to have a special focus type of tariff to make sure that those products get reshored. We need to have semiconductors, we need to have chips, and we need to have flat panels. We need to have these things made in America.
Trump's back and forth on tariffs has kicked off a trade war with China, which raised its own duties to 125%, while dismissing the U.S. president's tariff strategy as a joke. Critics, including Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren, blasted the shifting policy as chaos, and billionaire investor Bill Ackman, who endorsed Trump's run for president, urged the president to pause the tariffs for 90 days. Trump's tariff moves have stoked fears of a U.S. recession. U.S. stocks ended a volatile week higher, but the safe haven of gold hit a record high during the session, and benchmark U.S. 10-year government bond yields posted their biggest weekly increase since 2001, alongside a slump in the dollar, signaling a lack of confidence in the U.S.
All right, let's take a look at that weather forecast for northwest Pennsylvania on this Monday. Cloudy skies this morning, followed by scattered showers and thunderstorms during the afternoon. Highs today in the upper 60s. Scattered thunderstorms early on tonight, then partly cloudy after midnight, lows in the mid-40s. Tuesday, rain showers, mid-40s. Wednesday morning, snow showers, low 40s. Thursday, rebounding with mostly sunny skies and temperatures in the upper 50s. Friday, Good Friday, rain showers with the high in the upper 60s. Meadville this morning at 50 degrees. Cambridge Springs, Edinburgh at 48. Really warming up out there. Titusville 44. Franklin this morning 46. Oil City 44 degrees here at 7:56. This is the morning drill. You're watching it on Stream TV and on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. Well, next hour, 6 women, including pop star Katy Perry, are scheduled to be launched into space for about 11 minutes on the Blue Origin rocket, a liftoff that would mark the first all-female space flight since 1963. The window for the latest New Shepard rocket launch is expected to open on Monday morning at about 8:30 a.m., according to Blue Origin. And I know... journalist Gail King is listed as one that's going to be going up, as well as others. So, yeah, all the best to them. You know, there's never anything routine about that kind of stuff. So,
no, it's crazy.
Would you do it if you were offered?
No.
What?
No. We all know how Mission Space turned out at Disney. I'd probably get sick. Sorry. That's all. That's the only, it would be cool. It'd be awesome.
It would be.
Yeah.
The flight will last about 11 minutes and reach a height of about 65 miles above Earth. So, it'd be, I don't know. I'd like to think that I would do it if I was offered that opportunity. Would you want me to do it if I was offered?
Yeah.
Would I want you to do it if you were offered? I don't know.
It's not like
a lot of things
one
could
way.
go wrong.
Well, yeah, true. It's a lot of things could go wrong when you leave your house in the morning, but
yeah,
you still go.
Yeah, but that's a little different.
Kinda.
Boy, that'd be kind of exciting, though. Now, if NASA said, hey, how about a trip like around the moon and back? Oh, that'd be tempting. I'd like to think so. Like that I would say yes.
You'd like to think you'd say yes?
Yeah. I don't know. That'd be tough.
Depends on the day.
Well, there's a lot to consider. The other things like, do you have your will in place? Do you have, all of that. So, yeah, I think initially I'd be like, yes, but then all this other stuff would come into play. So, I don't know. Well, all the best to them as they're going to be blasting off later this morning. So, we've got Neil Fratus in the 8 o'clock hour. Gary Glunt's going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour. Looking forward to catching up with all our guests on this Monday. Holy Week is upon us. Palm/Passion Sunday was yesterday. A lot going on this week. Got a lot to cover, so looking forward to it. This is the Morning Drill. You're watching it on Stream TV and on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
I leaned back on my radio. Some cat was laying down some rock and roll, that is all he said. Then the loud sound, it seemed to fade. Came back like a slow voice on a wave of fade. That wasn't no DJ, that was basic.
Thinking about switching to 5G home internet? Think again. Unlike Zoom from Armstrong, 5G home internet is delivered by a cell tower. The further away you are, or the more devices connected to that tower, the slower your internet is. Cell phone providers also play favorites. When their network gets busy, cell phones win, and your home internet pays the price. Stick with Armstrong to get more data, more speed, and internet whenever you need it, not whenever they want. Armstrong, keeping you connected.
Are you tired of juggling multiple pill bottles? Titusville Express Pharmacy has your solution, now offering compliance packaging. Your medication sorted and sealed by dose, making it easier than ever to stay on track. In a hurry? Take advantage of our convenient drive-through service. We also offer free local delivery for those that qualify. Titusville Express Pharmacy, where convenience meets care. Visit us today at 401 West Spring Street in Titusville. Simplify your medication routine with Titusville Express Pharmacy.
Poppy's Equipment and Storage Rental in Pleasantville is committed to providing our customers with exceptional service while offering quality rental equipment. Poppy's is now an authorized steel dealer with everything you need to have for sawing and cutting or mowing to digging. And of course, Poppy's has tents, tables, chairs, heaters, generators, barbecues, and more for your next wedding or get-together. Need firewood or propane? No problem. Whether you're in construction or a weekend warrior, reach out to Poppy's about your next project. Poppy's Place on the Tenesta Road in Pleasantville. Community Connect Federal Credit Union, serving Crawford, Venango, Forest, and Warren counties. Their mission is to provide quality, low-cost, and personal financial products for the growth and security of their members and families. Stop in, call, or visit our website, communityconnectfcu.com, and click Join to get started. Community Connect Federal Credit Union, 1050 East Spring Street in Titusville.
For a unique shopping experience with great gift ideas, decor, and so much more, come check out what Titusville Market Square's nearly 100 vendors have to offer. Featuring unique items from local agribusiness, craftsmen, and vendors. We also offer products from 4 regional dairies, including a full line of Titusville dairy products. We carry a complete line of Amish wedding products, local honey, and maple syrup, as well as nostalgic Dog and Suds root beer and Fiestada pizzas. Don't forget to pick up fresh Clark's Donuts, delivered daily. Titusville Market Square, the new name in one-stop shopping.
Who can solve this equation? Ooh! Me. Anyone else? Fine. Jake from State Farm. Again.
All right. It's the personal price plan theorem. If you bundle your home and auto, that can equal an affordable price just for you.
Bundling. Just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Fat Chad's Brewing is Titusville's premier dining destination, offering fine dining served with a cold beverage and great conversations. Try our new menu items, the T-bone steak, homemade meatloaf dinner, or soft shell crab tacos. Our pasta entries and sandwiches are just as popular. Try the new lobster ravioli, shrimp and scallop pasta, or our popular Asiago chicken. Don't forget about our famous burgers or fish sandwich, all served with fresh cut fries. Come in Saturday nights for Wild Game Saturdays. For good food and good times, it's Fat Chad's Brewing in Titusville.
For over 11 years, Triple M Roofing has been providing Amish quality craftsmanship and work ethic that you can rely on. Pole barns, decks, porches, siding, and almost all roofing needs, Triple M Roofing will get the job done on time without sacrificing quality or the promise to deliver within your budget. Call today for a free estimate, 814-964-0472. Waiting is what you'll do with the other guys. Getting it done is what we do. Amish owned and operated, we're Triple M Roofing.
Wall Street ended a turbulent week with solid gains on Friday, with the Dow adding more than 1.5%, the S&P 500 rising 1.8%, and the Nasdaq climbing 2%. Stocks were whipsawed throughout the week by the chaos of President Donald Trump's multi-front trade war, which included a reprieve for duties on European goods and a tit-for-tat tariff escalation with China. Chris Constantinos is chief investment strategist at Riverfront Investment Group.
At the end of the day, the uncertainty that this sows, not just for consumers, but also for businesses trying to make decisions in real time about hiring and CapEx and investing in high RRR potential projects, but which take capital up front. All of these types of decisions are having to be put on hold because of this low visibility environment. So we need to understand that as it stands right now, we think the economy is in relatively decent shape. We think inflation's in relatively decent shape. We think employment's in relatively decent shape, but that could all change fairly quickly if we don't start getting some resolutions.
Economic data on Friday offered further evidence that inflation continues to cool, with the Labor Department's Producer Prices Index unexpectedly falling last month. A separate report, however, showed consumer sentiment deteriorated sharply in April, with inflation expectations at their highest level since 1981. But two Federal Reserve policymakers managed to soothe investors' nerves. Boston Fed President Susan Collins said the central bank is prepared to keep financial markets functioning, while New York Fed President John Williams said the economy is not entering a period of stagflation. Meanwhile, first quarter earnings got off to a solid start, with major U.S. banks reporting better than expected profits. Shares of J.P. Morgan Chase gained 4%. Morgan Stanley also closed higher, while shares of Wells Fargo, which forecast lower net interest income, ended lower. All three lenders, however, warned of inflationary risks and a potential economic slowdown due to Trump's tariffs.
Joining us from Titusville City Hall, it's the city manager, the city of Titusville, Neil Fratus. Neil, good morning. Good to see you.
Luke, good morning. Good to see you too.
Yeah, brand new week, halfway through the month.
Yeah.
Things are just flying by.
Yeah, we were just talking about that halfway through. Easter's right here around the corner.
And still waiting for good weather.
Yeah, still waiting for good weather. Yeah, we're getting closer, I think. But yeah, summer's right around the corner.
How deflating was last week when we got all that snow? City crews, do they still have plows, or did they?
They were off.
Okay.
They're always on standby, of course, but we've been street sweeping here, weeks before, and then here we go. We get a couple inches of snow, and the plows are back on. We had 5 trucks out.
Wow.
And, 10:30, 11 a.m. Things were a lot better, but Fillmore Hill I know was closed down. I think out in Hightown 408 was shut down too. So.
Yeah,
our crews got out there as quickly as we could, but again, we didn't expect to get that much snow. But hey, Northwest Pennsylvania,
you never know.
You just never know.
How does that change or slow up projects that you want to get started, or not really?
No, not really. Just something quick there. But no, we're still working, putting some playground equipment in the park over Burgess Park together. We hope to have that done either this week or next week. Very excited about that, and we'll move on to the next park. In fact, the street sweeper was out this morning, so no, we're just business as usual. Continuing.
Speaking of which, we were just talking. I was at Burgess Park Friday watching a tennis match, and boy, the new park equipment looks fantastic. The playground equipment looks great.
Yeah, coming along. I think the swing set's done. Again, finishing the large playground set area, and yeah, very exciting. I don't know if you noticed, 3 new tennis nets as well are up. School district supplied those, and we're actually looking at the tennis courts right now. They're in. Unfortunately, a lot of cracks, things like that. We're looking at crack sealing, trying to find the best course of action for that. Again, as obviously the tennis team plays there, and something we're looking into right now with kind of maybe partnering with the school district on improving the courts as well.
Great.
So
yeah, and that's never cheap when you look at what kind of surface you need for tennis courts. And there was a time, I think, when there was a committee, and it's probably long disbanded, and where they had a few bucks to put into some things, but because at one time, like the lights, and I don't know if those lights still work down there.
The lights do not work. We have some money set aside. We had a donation last year from a local businessman that put some money away for the lights. So that's something that we're hoping to move forward with as well.
Great.
Obviously, the court's kind of first priority now. It's something that we didn't budget for. As you said earlier, it can be very costly.
Yeah.
We have a first quote that came in. It was very high. So again, work with the school district on that. We'll look at some other avenues as well. Maybe there's some funding that's out there that can help out. And again, we want to make sure those courts don't get any worse than they are. So,
we spend a lot of time talking about the parks, the Admire complex. Do you? I don't mean this in a negative way. Do you get people that say to you, what else does the city do? Because it seems like there is a big conversation with this.
Sure.
And I say that because I think sometimes people don't realize how in use those parks are with tournaments and people coming in. It's a draw for tourism.
Yeah, we've invested a lot of money into our parks the past few years. Ed Meyer Complex, prime example, pickleball courts, even the dugouts. We talked about that, how expensive they were. Nobody was happy with how expensive they were. Unfortunately, the funding we were using and some of the requirements, we had to put certain things in. We maybe didn't think they needed to be there, like sidewalks, but that was just part of the grant funding. But anyway, we've been putting a lot of funding into our parks. Some folks not happy. They feel like the money should go somewhere else, which is okay. But again, playground equipment, long outdated in all these parks. We're able to shift some money around the Raccoon Refuse Performance Bond. That was a big topic. We had some money that came back from that bond. Council at the time allocated for a lot of these parks. We have a paving project coming up here in a few months at the Ed Meyer Complex as well, to pave as you come in the entrance over to the new building, the new sports building that we have there as well. So again, most folks are very happy about that. I know I get a lot of calls. I've gotten a lot of calls from folks with the playgrounds at Ed Meyer, just calling and saying, hey, thank you to the city for putting that in. Our older sibling plays baseball, and our little one's able to go over and play on the swing set. Again, very exciting. I would say mostly folks are very positive and happy about it, but some others think money should go somewhere else, and that's okay. We do our best to try to allocate the money in different other areas as well, but the parks are important to us. We, again, as you said, we're trying to get folks here. Everyone enjoys being outside. We have wonderful trails, great fishing here in this part of Pennsylvania, and again, parks are a priority to us.
The other thing is, it's not like it's just all of a sudden, hey, we're just going to do this. There is a lot of discussion. I think sometimes people forget too. There's also time limits on a lot of this stuff where grant money has to be spent by a certain time, and there is a lot of discussion on that. That's why when you say, hey, come to a meeting, hear us out, ask questions.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to do that. That's where those conversations can really help, because somebody can say, hey, that's great, but what about doing something like this? And you could outline, well, the parameters of the grant say we can only do this, or hey, that's a great idea, let council add that into the discussion.
Yeah, CDBG, Community Development Block Grant money is a great example. We have public hearings, public meetings for folks to come in, share some ideas before we even allocate the money. And then once the money's allocated, then we have another meeting. Obviously, we meet twice a month with council meetings. We encourage everyone to come in, call us at City Hall, send us emails. Not only me, but our staff and council members have emails. If you have questions, concerns, you're not happy with something, always encourage you to come out and ask those questions. And like you said, some of the funding has timeline, deadlines on there, and the dugouts, great example. We worked on that for quite a bit of time. We had to make a decision and move forward. Again, we weren't happy with what the total cost was of the dugouts and the sidewalks and the 2 parking spaces, but again, that was part of the grant process. And I will say I think it looks great down there, and
so
much needed.
I'm going to tie something in here. Years ago, there was a politician, and a lot of them will do this, right? I'm not going to, spend our tax dollars, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's great in theory, but if you're not fighting to get those tax dollars for our region,
right,
they're going somewhere else. So while I appreciate the sentiment of being responsible with the tax money, if they're giving it out, you better fight for it.
Yeah.
And it sounds sort of the same, right? If you don't use that grant money, you're not going to get it.
Right, somebody else is going to get it. It's going to go back to the state, and it's going to get dispersed in another municipality, another township. And again, we do our best to try to promote these meetings, these public meetings, for folks to share their ideas. If you don't want it to go into our parks area, paving, other infrastructure things, come to a meeting, share it with us, and nobody's going to bite your head off. We've been very open the last, I'm going on my 6th year, and I can tell you we're very open to people coming in and sharing those ideas. And if you don't like what we're doing, we want to hear that. How are we supposed to get better? I will share, sometimes I'm not on social media, and some people share, hey, did you see so-and-so's not happy about this? And there's a pothole in town, and nobody's taken care of it yet. And I said, well, we don't legislate off Facebook. That's why we're always talking about, come to a meeting, give us a phone call. You can remain anonymous if you're not happy with something, and just share that, because, again, you have to give us an opportunity to make it right, or at least look into, the concern that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you've got great crews as well. So when they're out and about and they see things, they're also, okay, we got a big pothole here. We need to get that figured out.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Sure is.
That's why the list never gets smaller, does
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You mentioned potholes, and again, Main Street, I keep thinking back about Main Street. Thankfully, it's all fixed now. It took a little bit of time, and the cones were out, and people were kind of one lane shifting over, but everybody did a nice job, and I think people realized we were working on it. It's just we had to work around the weather as well.
Yeah.
So, again.
Now, the other thing is sometimes you've got things scheduled to take place, but then something else comes up, and it's like, well, we're going to have to maybe take some money from here and get this thing addressed first. So that's another reality of dealing with a budget as well.
Yeah, that happens a lot. I use East Mount Vernon Street. We had a partial road collapse up there, 2.5 years ago. Went after some grant funding money, some allocation money, and looked like we were headed in the right direction, getting closer and closer to getting the funding, and then the funding got wiped away. So now we're back to square one, and that gets frustrating. That happens a lot. That was a project we were hoping to work on this year, something that's a priority, and we're back to square one looking for some funding. And there's grant funding that's out there. One of the things I was just talking last week with a staff member, how frustrating it is. Somebody will get an email from the state saying, hey, there's funding available through this channel, and but it's the deadline's in 2 weeks. And we miss out on a lot of opportunities, grant opportunities, too, whether it's equipment, whether it's to fix a roadway, infrastructure, water lines, sewer lines, what have you. And again, that's one of the challenges is thinking outside the box, trying to find a way to pay for some of these things that we have to buy, and again, some of these projects that we'd like to get done as well.
Well, I know that can be challenging. I think you like challenges, but there are some moments too where you get to celebrate. And last week, the chamber got together for their annual banquet and celebration as they honored 2 Citizens of the Year. It's been a couple years since the chamber got together for this, so they wanted to make up for it. They honored 2, one for 2023 and one for 2024. Lynn Cressman and Tracy Spears, Citizen of the Year. Lynn in 2023, Tracy 2024.
Yep.
You know Lynn, you know Tracy. How special is that for you to be able to present those citations to people like that at an event like that? That has to be like the fun part of the job.
Yeah, wonderful event last week. I know we missed last year, and to be able to honor both those citizens, Lynn, I know obviously you've known Lynn, she has a teacher in high school, and obviously how active she is on the shade tree and in the community. I see her working on gardens throughout town, and just amazing. How Tracy and her and Tracy just what they give back to the community, volunteering. It's been a struggle. We talk about fire departments lacking volunteers and some of our boards and commissions and lacking some of those volunteers. But those 2 individuals have just done an immaculate job of what they give back to the city of Titusville and to the community. And again, it's great to be able to stand up there and read a proclamation, kind of going back and reflecting on some of the things that they're a part of and what they do for the community. And again, I couldn't think of any other individuals well deserved.
It's got to be like you said. It's just fun to be able to do that. That's a nice thing to do. And and the other thing is just seeing everybody and hearing what's going on and celebrating people's accomplishments over in this case, the last 2 years. But there's you kind of sit back, Neil, and you go, boy, there's a lot happening. There's a lot of development going on. There's a lot of projects in the works.
Yeah, businesses that have been here. I can't remember which business it was. I thought I heard 70 years.
Wow.
That it's been in, that it's been here, and a couple of them that have been here for such a long time. New businesses coming in as well, honoring them, and again, that's a wonderful event to be able to sit down and hear the wonderful things that everyone's doing and honor those citizens. It's a great time.
You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream TV and on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. The city manager for the city of Titusville, Neil Fratus, with us here this morning. You had your roundtable a couple weeks ago, and I'm sure, that was April, right? So the next one's in May.
Yeah.
It's probably like, oh, yeah, I guess summer is right around the corner. There are a lot of events coming up.
Yeah, we are getting quite a few events coming in. A lot of folks calling as well, wanting to rent some of the pavilions, the Evans Lodge over at Burgess Park for some are talking about graduations already. Again, very exciting to hear concerts in the park. One of our big projects this year is the upgrading of the electric over at Shady Park, so we're very excited about that. We'll obviously have to work around some of the concerts, but yeah, a lot of great events happening, and I always say each and every week that we seem to get more and more special events that are scheduled throughout the city, and again, looking forward to it.
It's funny when you look at the last couple of years and topics that come up, and then as maybe you don't hear as much about them, that doesn't mean things aren't going on. Somebody was just asking me, what's going on at the airport? Anything big going on there?
Yeah, we have a project out there. We've had a fuel issue. We're looking at replacing one of the fuel pumps out there. We have a main apron project that we're crack sealing as well. So there's still things going on out there. CATA's out there operating, obviously. We're very happy to have them here operating the city. Their CATA Go has been very successful. Again, so it was great to find them a home last year here in the city. And all kind of things going on behind the scenes as well that people just don't see. Obviously waiting for the warmer weather to happen so we can start these projects.
And obviously updates that we continue to talk about every week, some big projects that are either being discussed or in the works, including water well, I think the city garage. Yeah,
that's another challenge that we're facing, something unexpected as we talk about things happen, but we're looking to replace Public Works garage. It's 60 plus years old. We have an issue with the roof. It's fixed temporarily, but again, council needs to sit down and staff, and we need to discuss, how we're going to move forward with that. That's nothing small, obviously, and rather costly. So we're looking at some different avenues on that. And that aspect, the water well project, as you mentioned, large project. It's going to take a few years to get that up and going. We're going to be that'll be getting into full swing here as long as the weather gets nice. And just never a dull moment. Always something going on, whether large, small projects as well. Paving, the bids went out for paving this past week for our liquid fuel funding we get every year. That paving will start, the actual project will start first week in July usually. I mentioned earlier the Ed Meyer complex paving, be about the same time. Shady Park electric upgrade, as I just mentioned, that bid is going out too this week. So all kind of stuff going on.
Is it too late if an organization is trying to plan something for the early part of summer, or is now the time really to get in there and have a conversation? And actually, it's really not attending a meeting, right? It's more getting to City Hall and checking the calendar.
Give us a call. Our website has special event applications. I wouldn't say it's too late. Again, there's dates that are open. There's weekends that are open as well. Maybe it's a senior center. You're looking to the activities building. You're looking to rent that. We do have, obviously, weekends that are open for that. But again, not necessarily have to come to a meeting. Give us a call. Go to our website, and you can fill those forms out.
Yeah, really, it's not. It's more a case of is it available than anything else. So it's just stopping in and checking that.
Give us a call.
The website, still a great place to go to make your payments?
Yes, you can still make your payments. Obviously, encouraging folks. Something new this year, we electronic billing is something new. If you still want a paper copy, there is a small fee. We've been working through those challenges as we started the new year. And again, any problems, any issues anybody has, I think things have kind of simmered down a little bit as we're obviously into April anyway. And but again, give us a call if you have any questions about that. Real simple setup.
Next meeting is when?
That's this week, this Wednesday, 6 p.m. at City Hall. Be going over some updates on some things happening. I mentioned earlier some of the bidding packages that are going out for some of the projects we have. But again, that's this Wednesday, 6 p.m. at City Hall. Always encourage everyone to come out.
Last meeting, was there a discussion on open air market?
Yes, the memorandum of understanding between the city and the open air market was approved by City Council. So the open air market will be at Shady Park. Another exciting thing to be able to bring back to the city. It was obviously out at the old tire, Big G Tire for many years out on Route 8. So we're very excited to have them back into town. As you recall, last year we had a little bit of pop-up mini open air markets at different locations throughout the city. They felt Shady Park was just the most appropriate to have the event year-round on the Tuesdays and Saturdays, I believe is what it is. And so those will be in full swing before you know it as well. Very excited to have them back into town.
All right, and that starts when? Do you remember?
Oh, boy. Afraid you were going to ask me that. I am not sure,
Coming
to be
soon.
honest with you. I think it's, oh, boy, I'm not even going to speculate.
And
give us a call. I'll have to look.
Yeah, and that usually, runs into October, I think. So.
Yeah, it does. They try to go as long as they can, depending, obviously, weather permitted as well. But again, I build Tuesdays and Saturdays.
That's great.
Yeah, very exciting.
A lot of discussion over the years on where to host it.
Yeah.
And even on their side, I know a lot of their vendors had their ideas. And so nice that it's back in town.
Very excited to be able to have an agreement with them. It's a lengthy agreement, and again, it's great for the community.
Do you still sit on the chamber board?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's obviously a lot of discussion on getting ready for Oil Fest in August
Yes.
and events over the summer. What's your philosophy in terms of the city's responsibility for these folks that want to have events in town?
Yeah, obviously working hand in hand with the Chamber of Commerce, kind of wear two hats here as I'm on the board. I'm not on the Oil Fest committee. I do try to help out as much as I can, but they have a committee that gets together. They've done a great job. That committee has grown over the past few years. Get some ideas, share some ideas of some things we can do differently. Obviously, the city partnering with the chamber, it's just coordinating those things. Street closures. I think last year was the first year we actually closed some of the streets down a little bit earlier for setup. So again, just working closely with the committee to be able to make sure we're getting things, as I said, closed down or need a helping hand for putting things up, what have you. But so again, we're always working together.
I'm always amazed too. There's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes. I think you were the one that told us a couple weeks ago, maybe longer, about the new creamery coffee shop. That's
Yep.
I mean, it's nice that there's all this stuff happening behind the scenes that sometimes, or a lot of times, the public just doesn't know about.
Yeah, exactly. And again, always encouraging everyone to come out to our meetings. But if you can't make it, give us a call. But we're very excited about an ice cream coffee creamery that's coming in. That was approved over near Monroe, between Monroe and the hotel there. So again, I know they broke ground. So that hopefully will be done here in the next few months, in the summer months. Very excited. And again, as you mentioned earlier, during the chamber banquet, just to hear all the exciting things that some of these businesses are doing, whether they're expanding. Unfortunately, we heard about Pizza Hut. I know.
Yes.
I think their last day was yesterday.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate, but
I was just going to ask you if you're the one that has started that Save the Pizza Hut campaign in town.
I have not, but I told myself last week as I need to get one of those stuffed crust pizzas before they close down. And I didn't make it over there. I'm kind of a little bit upset about it, but again, trying to turn it into something positive is I can't wait to see something come in there. What's next? What's next in that building? So again, hate to see a business close. It's been around forever. I remember you mentioned at the chamber banquet the Book It program and the pins we used to wear with the star stickers. I think of that Pizza Hut because I went to school here, and so sad to see it go, but excited to see what may come of that building and what will happen next.
And I think there's some other, as of right now, if you drive past, maybe some empty buildings or storefronts that within the last handful of months have been purchased, and something's going to be coming. So there's excitement with some of that stuff as well.
Yeah, I talk a lot about the Rite Aid building. That's been sitting empty for a while. A lot of us are like, hey, what's going on? I see the sign came down, I see trucks, and I see movement over there. I know there's been some offers on that building. Not that I'm aware of, nothing's gone through yet, but I know there's interest. I'm just hopeful. Nobody likes to see an empty building, an empty structure, even an empty house in town. But again, I'm confident that something's going to happen there, and as we turn the corner.
I'm not one for the government to intervene with things like that, but when something like that does come up, when a business goes out or whatever, obviously it sounds like you're kind of taking stock and saying, okay, maybe if we're asked or if something, if we can be a part of the process of getting something into an empty space.
Yeah. We had an empty building before, and I remember when it became empty, I started reaching out to anybody I could think of. I would call other business leaders and say, hey, did you see this building's empty? Do you know anybody that's interested? Hey, are you interested in it? And again, I think we all work together. We try to find a way to not allow these buildings to stay vacant so long, because we know what happens. They end up becoming blighted, and we end up having to deal with them and come down. And again, I see a lot of these empty buildings getting purchased and a lot of plans for them. So I'm very excited about what the future holds here for the city.
Neil, good to see you. Thanks for your time.
Luke, have a good week.
The Gordon B. Garrett Funeral Home has been serving the needs of Titusville and surrounding communities since 1965. Mr. Garrett believed in tradition and commitment to excellence, standards that have been passed down from one generation to now a new generation, who will work to provide you with a beautiful, lasting tribute to your loved one. When you need them, they will be there for you. This has been their foundation for almost 60 years. The Gordon B. Garrett Funeral Home, 303 North Washington Street in Titusville.
Anyone with a kind and generous heart and a little money can be a philanthropist. You too can be a force for good in our community, and the Crawford Heritage Community Foundation is here to help you make the most of your charitable giving. We've partnered with hundreds of people like you to make our world and our community a better place. You can give through us to support scholarships or any charitable organization or purpose. Whether you're interested in establishing a permanent endowment or adding to an existing fund, we want to be a part of your plan. Contact us when you're ready to make your mark. Together, we can make your contribution go further.
If you're looking for a professional massage therapist, Tranquil Moments Massage in Titusville is here for you. Ray and Rauch graduated from Slippery Rock University with a bachelor's degree in exercise and rehabilitative sciences with an emphasis in athletic training. Tranquil Moments offers a wide range of services, from Swedish massage to deep tissue, sugar scrubs to hot towel inclusion therapy. Like them on Facebook and visit their website to learn more about all the services they offer. Tranquil Moments Massage in Titusville.
Thinking about switching to 5G home internet? Think again. Unlike Zoom from Armstrong, 5G home internet is delivered by a cell tower. The further away you are, or the more devices connected to that tower, the slower your internet is. Cell phone providers also play favorites. When their network gets busy, cell phones win, and your home internet pays the price. Stick with Armstrong to get more data, more speed, and internet whenever you need it, not whenever they want. Armstrong, keeping you connected.
J. Gill Plumbing and Heating takes pride in being the premier heating and air conditioning service provider in the area. With over 30 years of experience, our highly skilled and certified technicians will work closely with you to address your heating and air conditioning repair, installation, or maintenance needs. Our team is dedicated to making your home the ultimate place of comfort. Call today to get a free estimate. We also offer financing options and membership opportunities that provide peace of mind and cost savings. Call J. Gill Plumbing and Heating today or visit them online 24/7 at jgillplumbingheating.com.
Sheer Design is Titusville's exclusive Paul Mitchell-focused salon. This full-service salon specializes in coloring, cuts, nails, and tanning. Owner Angela Saxon has over 20 years' experience as a Paul Mitchell professional. She and her licensed staff offer all cuts and styles for men and women of all ages. Call 814-827-0010 or stop in at 116 South Kerr Street in Titusville.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Levin, and I proudly own and operate Puppy Lovin'. Puppy Lovin' is a pet care salon dedicated to caring for your furry companions. We provide certified dog grooming services along with boarding and doggy daycare. Our facility is family-owned and operated and promise personalized care for every pet that comes through our doors. If you're worried about your furry friend being lonely when you're gone, we also have on-site personnel 24/7 just for their comfort. Follow us on Facebook and call or text us at 814-758-9259 to make an appointment today.
Share the fun of train travel and relive our country's oil history as you ride the OC&T through the valley that changed the world. Learn about the past while traveling on vintage cars. See a variety of wildlife with stops at Drakewell Park, Petroleum Center, and Oil Creek State Park. Arrive early and see the vast collection of train and railroad memorabilia at Perry Street Station. After the ride, enjoy a night's stay at the Caboose Motel. For seasonal specials or for more information, visit octrr.org or call 814-676-1733.
Wall Street ended a turbulent week with solid gains on Friday, with the Dow adding more than 1.5%, the S&P 500 rising 1.8%, and the Nasdaq climbing 2%. Stocks were whipsawed throughout the week by the chaos of President Donald Trump's multi-front trade war, which included a reprieve for duties on European goods and a tit-for-tat tariff escalation with China. Chris Constantinos is chief investment strategist at Riverfront Investment Group.
At the end of the day, the uncertainty that this sows, not just for consumers, but also for businesses trying to make decisions in real time about hiring and CapEx and investing in high RRR potential projects, but which take capital up front. All of these types of decisions are having to be put on hold because of this low visibility environment. So we need to understand that as it stands right now, we think the economy is in relatively decent shape. We think inflation's in relatively decent shape. We think employment's in relatively decent shape, but that could all change fairly quickly if we don't start getting some resolutions.
Economic data on Friday offered further evidence that inflation continues to cool, with the Labor Department's Producer Prices Index unexpectedly falling last month. A separate report, however, showed consumer sentiment deteriorated sharply in April, with inflation expectations at their highest level since 1981. But two Federal Reserve policymakers managed to soothe investors' nerves. Boston Fed President Susan Collins said the central bank is prepared to keep financial markets functioning, while New York Fed President John Williams said the economy is not entering a period of stagflation. Meanwhile, first quarter earnings got off to a solid start, with major U.S. banks reporting better than expected profits. Shares of J.P. Morgan Chase gained 4%. Morgan Stanley also closed higher, while shares of Wells Fargo, which forecast lower net interest income, ended lower. All three lenders, however, warned of inflationary risks and a potential economic slowdown due to Trump's tariffs.
Let's take a quick look at that weather forecast before we wrap things up here this morning. Cloudy skies followed by thunderstorms this afternoon. Temperatures today in the upper 60s. Thunderstorms this evening. Skies turning partly cloudy after midnight and lows in the mid-40s. Tuesday, rain showers, mid-40s. Wednesday, some morning snow showers. Could see a little bit of accumulation Wednesday morning, but not too bad. Low 40s for a high. Thursday, we warm up with mostly sunny skies, upper 50s. Friday, rain showers with temperatures in the upper 60s. Meadville this morning at 50 degrees. Cambridge Springs, Edinburgh at 49. Titusville, 45. Franklin this morning, 48. Oil City, 46 degrees here at 840. Financial guru Gary Glunt joins us here this morning. Hi, Gary. How are you? Good to see you.
Good morning, Luke. You make me smile every time you say that.
Well, it's always fun talking. And I'll tell you, it's kind of like when you hear oil in the news. I always smile, only in the sense that this is, the birthplace of the oil industry. And, people were like, I don't that's history. It's not. Well, no. They're conversations that take place now. Financial planning and just the awareness and smarts is something that you could be hit with every day and learn something. And, of course, with talks of tariffs and all this stuff, there's a lot of discussion. So it's really important, I think, to have these conversations. Absolutely. No doubt, you could do every day. I learn something every day from somebody, in regards to, just what's going on. Like you mentioned the tariffs, right? It's a hot button topic. We're not going to get into that here now, but in that there's things to learn about it. That it's a complex financial endeavor, and that's one thing about all financial stuff, right? I get people who ask me, like, hey, is this the best way to do this, or is this the best way to do this? And the answer is, you can't really answer that until you've sat down and you've worked out the situation and decided what options that you have and what to use, in that situation. And so everyone's unique. Everyone's unique, and every financial situation's unique. Anywhere from, well, should I buy this car, right, or should I buy that car? Well, it depends. And you have to put the financial parameters together and figure out, is this what I should be doing or not? So it's just like, right now, if you look at the housing market, right, overall, people would say it's a horrible time to buy a house, right? But are there opportunities out there now? Yeah, I'm sure there's some opportunities out there, and if you hit the right opportunity, it might not be a bad idea for you. Do you know what's funny though? We have car dealers on all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, because you would think when you're walking in to buy a car or a home that you have an idea what your budget is. Mm-hmm. That's not the case a lot of times. A lot of times, as the salesperson is working with these folks, they're coming and saying, well, we want that car. Okay, well, the car payment's this. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a lot. Mm-hmm. You didn't think this out? And it happens a lot. Yeah. So what's your budget, and then we'll kind of go from there. Exactly. But as you kind of said, there's all these things going on in the world which you can't really control. Mm-hmm. But there's things in your own life you can control. And I think that's kind of where we're starting here this morning. It's 100% it, right? So even with everything that's going on, okay, it's the act of being financially responsible brings something to your life. I was not always the guy who was financially responsible, right? And that I was that young kid who didn't have a clue in the world, right? And I was going out and I'm spending all my money, and at one point in my life, and I have to give the credit to my mother-in-law, right? My mother-in-law said, hey, let's look at this, and she was very good financially, right? And by good financially, I mean she was smart about it, right? She knew what she was doing, and so we put a plan together that fit us, right? And the change in how I view money and finances is dramatic, I don't know. It's a much better feeling, right? It's that versus that. Oh my gosh, I'm on the borderline. Am I going to have money to pay my next bill? Yeah, I got money to pay my next bill. And not only do I have that, now I can make some decisions, and I can make some wise decisions that I couldn't take advantage of before. And so last time we were talking about taxes, and we're going to continue on a little bit of that. Except and taxes is a huge topic in itself. You could do something every day on taxes. You really could. And I eventually, hopefully, want to hit some better, or I don't want to say better things, but more higher level tax things that can help us all, right? But what I want to talk about today is, so we went over some basics, like, all right, here's some little ways that we can use taxes to
help us with our tax situation and get us some more money back and have us not pay as much in taxes. So then it says, so then the next step is, all right, what do we do with that money, right? And here comes a huge attitude about money, right? And if you can control the spending of that money, so let's say that you got some money back from your taxes this year, okay? So now you got some choices, right? Do we spend it? Do we invest it? Do we become a business owner, which is a sort of investing? But when I say investing, I'm talking more like the stock market and interest-bearing activities or dividend-bearing activities, right? Versus investing in a business or owning a business, and not only those, but can I use this to create more financial income by having a side hustle? The advantage of a side hustle, and for those who don't know what a side hustle is, making money on the side, right? Doing something that gives you a little bit extra income, okay? But here's the ticket. The ticket now is, all right, if I get that little extra income, am I just going to spend it? Because if you're doing that, there's an old saying that if all you're doing is chasing money, you become a slave to the dollar. Right, and that's not the goal. The goal is not to become a slave to the dollar, right? The goal is to get that money to work for us, right? Which leads me to another old saying, right? Which is, poor people work for their money, and rich people make their money work for them. And so I want to look at a little bit of that today. How can we make that money that we just got from the government, that was ours to begin with, and now use it for something that's going to make us money, right? How can we use this money to help us create more money? And there's a bunch of different ways, right? That I want to start with what can everyday people think about, right? What do us everydayers, think about using our money, all right? And so, what's one place, Luke, that people, you get a little extra money, where do they put it? What might be a place that somebody puts that money at?
A good place or a bad place?
Any place that that they think is a safe place, and let's put our money at, okay, or whatever they want to do with it, anywhere.
I think some would put in the bank, some would.
All right, so let's start with the bank, right? Okay, everybody's got a savings account, right? Okay, and so if you're sitting there and you don't know what to do with your money, put it in the bank. Right? Get it in there, get it in a safe spot, okay? Now, and this is kind of a crazy time in the banking world, okay? And I don't want to say a crazy time, but it's different. When I was growing up, interest rate on a savings account of 4% was standard, right? If you put your money in a bank, you got 4% on your savings account, and then, the stock market, if you put your money in the stock market, the risk went up, but you could get a little bit more return. But if you looked at what, back in the 70s and the 80s when I was growing up, a lot of people had more money in the banks than they had in the stock market. And that has switched around because of what banks have done, right? So now on a regular savings account, you're looking at 0.1%, less than 1%. Right, or 1%, But now some of the banks and different avenues like credit cards, financial things like PayPal, and that now the interest that they're giving is starting to come back up. But sometimes it's like a specific thing and you can't get in. So I'll give you an example, right? So I have a Northwest online savings account, all right, that makes somewhere between like 3.8, 3.9, and 4%, okay? But not everybody can get into it. And I'm like, what is this? This is crazy, right? I got some kind of a special offer in an email one day. And so I went into the bank because I wanted to open another one for my wife. And I said, can I open another one of these for my wife? And they're like, no. I'm like, what's, and one of my best friends, I said, before I knew you couldn't do that, I'm like, hey man, get online, go to Northwest Savings Bank and open this thing up. And he's like, I tried and I can't do it. right? And so there, some banks are doing that special kind of thing like that, but there are opportunities out there, right? So
You just have to look for them.
You just have to look for them, right? And PayPal has a savings account that you can use that's backed by a bank, right? It's not just their thing; it's backed by a bank. It's FDIC insured, all that, and I think it's at 4% right now, and so here we go. So we get our money back, right, from the government, right? Okay, and if I'm sitting there, I'm saying, okay, what can I do with this money? Well, I can spend it. Well, if you spend it, all right, then you're chasing a dollar, right? You're chasing that dollar. You're chasing that dollar. Okay. Now, can I invest it? Can I put it into a savings account and earn 4% on it? Okay. Now my money is making me money. Now it's not a lot, right? Okay. But when we talk about investing for interest and dividends and rate of return, right? All mean the same thing. One thing about financial jargon, we use a lot of the same words to mean the same thing. Okay. And when I was teaching kids, I would say to them, listen, ask questions about that, because, if you don't understand what that word means, then, and this is something new to you, right? You don't get financial jargon every day of the week. And it's the same way with us adults. If we don't understand something, ask the question. So the three keys, right, are time, amount, and interest. Okay. Now, if you look at people's lives, all right, and I look at time, what group of people have time on their side? Young kids, right? And young kids don't understand the value of that time that they have to make money, right? Amount. Now, who has amount on their side? Usually, in life, right? Middle-aged people, right? We're in our jobs, we're making some money, okay? And now, depending on what we do with that, but we got a little bit of money. Now, here's a little known fact, though. Young people have money on their side, too, but they don't know it. They don't understand it, right? This generation are the richest teenagers in the history of America, all right? They've got money. The question is, do they know what to do with it? Because now, not only do they have some money to do something with, but they got time. Where me, I don't want to get morbid here, but over half my life's gone, right? So that I do not have time on my side, right? So I got to make up for it with amount, all right? And then there's rate. Now, rate, or interest rate, whatever you want to call it, and it doesn't have to be an interest rate. It could be a rate of return from a stock or something like that. We all have rate on our side, and we don't know we have rate on our side, but we do, okay? And the reason we have rate on our side is there are investments out there that you can earn a good rate of return on, okay? And when I say good rate of return, I'm talking 8, 10%, okay? And those are your traditional, your stock market stuff, right? Your mutual funds, things like that. But they're there, okay? Now, that we know there's going to be good years and there's going to be bad years. And right now, holy cow, Batman, right? So right now, I feel, because I was in this same boat actually a little while ago when I was looking to retire, okay? And the stock market was doing that little up and down thing. And I'm like, oh, man. And I forget, I guess it would have been like 2022. We had a drop, and I was like, oh, man, that can hurt, And I go back to 2008, right, when we had the housing crisis, and all those folks who wanted to retire then, and they couldn't, right, because all their stuff just went away, okay, and by stuff, their retirement, right, their 401k, so on and so forth. And so right now, there's a number of people out there that just went, hey, I can't retire now. I got to wait for that to come back up and lock my returns in. So anyway, so now, okay. So if I'm that, I just got my money back. I'm that person. I just got my 500, my 1,000, whatever it happens to be back. Okay, something even bigger, right? What can I do with it? All right. Well, all right. So let's make our money work for us, right? So something simple. Get into a high yield savings account. right? So get that money into that 4% or somewhere, okay? Whether it's a high yield savings account, whether it's a money market account, whether it's a certificate of deposit, okay? Let's get that money in there, okay? Now, next thing, let's throw a combo with this, right? So I think we talked about the rule of 72, okay? Yep. So you're not making tons of money at 4%, okay? The rule of 72 says you take the number 72, divide it by your interest rate, and that's how long it takes your money to double. Okay, so if that's the case, right, and I'm making, and then I'm going to use easy math. Let's say I'm making 2% instead of 4%, right? Okay, I guess 4% is easy math too. So if I take 72 divided by 2, my money's doubling every 36 years, right? Okay, so we're not making a lot of money in this high yield savings account. But here's the thing, you know how we can help that? Let's put some amount to it, right? Let's get that side hustle. So let's get that money stuck into that account, right? Whatever that happens to be. And let's start letting it earn us some money. And now let's start throwing some amount at it, right? So, example, some things that people can do on side hustles, and take that money and start slamming it in there. Now, I sent you 2 graphs, right? Okay, or charts and so the first one was I pretended like I got $1,000 back from my tax return, okay? And right now, I forget who's making 4.66. NerdWallet, all right? So NerdWallet has a high yield savings account that's earning 4.66, right? So I take that money, right, and I put that into an account, and at the end of the year, I've made a whopping $47. Okay, and you're like, woo, big deal. But that it is, because money works slow like this.
Yes.
But then you hit a certain point, and money takes off like a fiend, and that's the problem. The problem is waiting to get to that point where you now have enough of an amount that 4% actually looks not too bad. So example, right? So then I said, all right, let's take that 1,000 and let's throw 500 a month from our side hustle. Okay. And you're thinking, man, that's a lot of money. 500 a month? I don't have any money. My buddy makes $500 to $600 a month. Okay. Donating plasma. Right?
Wow.
So $500 to $600 a month, and he doesn't need the money, right? But what an easy chunk of change, right? Now, as far as I know, there's no places in Titusville or Meadville that you can donate plasma. He lives in Erie, okay? But hey, load up 4 of your closest friends, take the ride to Erie, donate some plasma, okay? And, the cost of gas, that's a win. You with me? All right, so then, and let's say you don't want to do that, right? Collect aluminum cans, right? Collect junk and take it to the recycling places. There's all kind of things that you can do to get that extra side hustle money, right? Okay. I've got a collection of baseball cards and football cards from the 70s. I think I got like 4,000 sitting in my basement, right? Okay. Well, they're not doing me any good sitting in my basement. So I just contacted a guy the other day and said, hey, man, I got 4,000 baseball and football cards and you want to look through them because he's a dealer in them, right? And he said, heck yeah. So I don't know what I'll get off of them, but I'll get something off of them. So there's some more money to throw into that, right? So now let's jump ahead to the next one I sent, okay? So now this next one, the one that has 13,000 starting principal. Okay, so this was like after 3 years, right? So after 3 years, I've stuck $500 in a year, right? I'm looking at $20,400. Okay, that I now have sitting in my account. But now I got $788 a year. Okay, now again, not a lot yet, right? And you're thinking, man, I can use that $20,000 for something else, okay? But the answer is no. All right, the answer is wait, right? So I now can use $788 a year and never affect my money making me money, right? So every year, if I'm making my 4.66, I'm bringing in $788 that I didn't have to work a dime for, right? I didn't have to get off my butt. I didn't have to get off my couch, right? So now let's keep throwing our side hustle in, right? And let's get ourselves to $100,000 or $1 million, right? People go, I got $1 million in an account? Guys, it's not hard to get to $1 million if you control your spending. Yeah. And now you get that $1 million in the bank, and now you're at 4.66%. Now you've got $46,000 a year to do whatever you want with for forever.
Wow.
Yeah. So the goal is to build that pot of money as fast as you can to get to that point where that money is earning you money. And there's a case where that money, it's safe. You never have to worry about losing it. And so now you look and the next step now is, well, geez, what other investments are out there that I can even make that go faster? Right? If Luke, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's a great tease for the next conversation.
That's a great tease for the next conversation.
Gary, great to see you. Great stuff as always.
Thank you, Luke, and had a pleasure being here.
See you in a couple weeks.
Yes, indeed.
Honey.